Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Daily Betslip. Joining me on today's show for the first 15 minutes, William Hill, Mr. William Hill, at not the Will Hill. Thank you for joining me, my friend, because I know you cover New York sports. So what better day to have you on than before a Monday Night Football, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys matchup. You can see Will Hill. He does a ton of stuff for VSiN and a lot of other stuff coming up as well. How are you doing today, my friend? How do you feel about tonight's game in general?
You know, it's funny that you look at the Giants schedule. I don't know that we've ever seen a schedule so favorable, so quirky, where the Giants play week 1 at Tennessee. Then they don't play a true road game until October 23rd. 3 straight home games. Carolina, who obviously they beat. Dallas without Dak. The Bears next week at home, which is favorable. Then they have a road game, but that road game is in London against the Packers, which is really neutral. Home against the Ravens. Then once they, start these road games October 23rd, they play the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Lions, and the Texans. So the Giants here, it's hard to believe, as bad as they were last year, there's actually a path for the Giants to get into a position where they can make the playoffs. So there'll be some juice in the building tonight, I would think. This Giant fan base has not had a lot to be excited about the last 5 years. I think that place will be pretty electric. Should be a fun game.
Yeah, I think they're doing white out too. I think everyone's wearing white at the game.
Kind of corny.
Yeah,
to be honest.
That kind of seems more like a college thing to do. That just kind of reminds me of Penn State. I was thinking about going to the game myself, but I got to move tomorrow, so I don't think it's a good idea for me to stay out late drinking, watching football. I got to pack up. As you can see, I'm surrounded by boxes. This will hopefully be the last episode of Daily Betslip I'll be doing from a living room. Hopefully I'll have be in my new office starting tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But another reason why I wanted you on the show today, my friend, not only the Giants playing tonight, this is a big time for baseball as well. And tonight, your New York Yankees taking on my Toronto Blue Jays. Any quick thoughts for that game? Because I was hoping that heading into this series, this could be a time when the Blue Jays might be able to completely close the gap in the AL East. Hasn't turned out that way. I don't know what the lead is now. I think 8.5 games or something. It's back up to. So AL East out of the Blue Jays' hands, but maybe a little bit of they could get some momentum. So how do you feel about the Yankees? Does Aaron Judge hit the 61st home run tonight?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you not asking me to help you move, because I've moved a couple of times. It is not any fun. So that's a good job by you.
Worst.
It's funny with Judge. He's so good. And he hasn't really changed his approach. He's taking his walks. If you watch these games, there's just so much pressure, so much of a spotlight. It's hard to hit a home run when everyone's just, goes quiet every time you go up to the plate. People are taking your picture every swing. So, he'll hit another one or two. We got a week or so left in the season, so he'll get another one tonight. Gausman's a tough matchup, tough on righties. He's just so incredible. Judge, the season he's had, not just the homers, but the average. He's playing good defense. The throw he made the other night against the Red Sox, he's just an all-around incredible player. I think it's a fascinating argument. How many first place votes does Ohtani get? Does Judge get every single vote? I know it was kind of split middle of the year. Who should be the MVP? Kind of an old-fashioned MVP race. To me, Judge has obviously run away with it. As far as tonight, it's tough because the Yankees, man, they are a tough team to predict. They go so hot and so cold. Like you mentioned, it looked like a few weeks ago that the Yankees were primed to spit up this division. They were in a total freefall mode. I think what turned it around, remember that Sunday, late August against Toronto, where Toronto really could have crept closer. They just beat Cole the day before, but the Yankees won that game, have sort of gotten on track since. They're obviously in good position to clinch this division. If they win tonight, they do clinch it. As far as tonight, I don't have a play. I'd probably look towards the under in the first 5 with 2 good pitchers going, Severino, Gausman. I saw you gave out under 4.5 Severino strikeouts. That's something I thought about. I just think, his last few starts, he hasn't hit that number a lot. But remember, one of those starts he got hurt. The other start last week, he's, sort of limited in terms of pitch count. So they'll start to build him up a little more. So I stayed away from that. Would lean towards the under of the first 5, though.
Yeah, I am on Severino under strikeout total. I have a pick for the side as well. I'll give that out in the second half of the show when I get Peter Dewey on here because he's a Yankees fan as well. So me and him are going to go head-to-head about that matchup tonight. But as a Yankees fan yourself, what kind of confidence, what's your confidence level for the Yankees once they get into the postseason? Obviously, they're going to clinch the division. Is this a team that can go on a run and win a World Series?
They're just so hard to predict. You could tell me they win the World Series. I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be pretty surprised. You could tell me they got swept in the first round. I definitely wouldn't be surprised. I don't trust them. My confidence is very low, 1 to 10, probably a 1 or a 2. But I will say they're getting healthier at the right time. They got Bader back. Once they've gotten Bader back, they've played well. LeMahieu, Benintendi, Carpenter, all these injury reports have been positive so far today. LeMahieu's going to be back soon. Benintendi could be back soon. Carpenter actually has a higher OPS, I think, than Judge, which is hard to believe. So they're going to have some tough roster decisions. They're getting healthier at the right time. They got Rizzo back. I just don't trust the back end of their bullpen. Holmes was so unhittable the first half of the season. He's really been shaky the second half of the season. And these playoff games, they're tight. They're low scoring. You got to be able to lock down those last 6-7 outs of a close game. I don't really trust them to do it. So I don't have a ton of trust in them going forward. But hey, it's October. Once you get in the playoffs, it's a new season. They'll be home for round one. They'll have Cole on the mound. They have a good home field advantage. I would think they would get by round one. Round two, they're probably going to be looking at Houston. Remember, round one, we don't even know who they're going to be playing. It could be Toronto, Seattle, Tampa. We don't really know. Round two, you figure if they win, they play Houston. Houston has just had their number. Houston's pitching is incredible. I would pick Houston over the Yankees, especially the series would be in Houston for a seventh game. I would have a hard time picking the Yankees over Houston in that series.
Or maybe they'll face my Toronto Blue Jays in the ALCS.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. So put your Yankees fandom aside here. Which team, if we're just talking from a betting angle, because they have similar odds, which New York team would you rather bet on to win the World Series, the Mets or the Yankees right now?
It's funny. The Mets are much better equipped for the playoffs because of DeGrom, Scherzer throwing Bassett and Diaz at the end of the game. But they're not a lock to win that division. Atlanta will probably beat the Nationals tonight, cut it to a game. The Mets have had a couple chances to put this division away. Saturday, they went into the day with a 2.5 game lead. DeGrom pitching against the A's. The Braves were struggling. The Mets are up 3-0 with DeGrom against the mound against Oakland, with DeGrom going against Oakland. To let that lead get away, they lose. So it could be one going into tomorrow. They do play head-to-head, the Mets and the Braves, 3 times this weekend, so the Mets will probably have to win a game there where it looked Saturday like that series might be irrelevant. So the Mets can't quite put the Braves away. That's an extra layer here where they have to get through because, remember, if you don't win the division, you got to play a best 2 out of 3. And even if you win that in the Mets case, then you have to play the Dodgers in the first round, and you're not going to have your pitching organized. So that's an extra layer. I think they're better. The Mets, in terms of who's in better shape to win a World Series, the Mets or the Yankees. I think the Mets are better. It's just that extra layer, that extra obstacle scares me. But I'll still say the Mets just because that pitching is so dominant. I mean, they might have 3 of the 6 or 7 best pitchers in the whole postseason. When you look at DeGrom, Scherzer, Diaz, I mean, that's a hell of a trio.
Let's talk some football now. Giants, we mentioned earlier, obviously a big game against the Cowboys tonight. We were just talking about Mets and the Yankees. What about the New York football teams? Are the Giants going to hold on to being the better of the 2 New York teams? There's not really much to brag about because neither team is really good, even though the Giants are 2-0. Are the Giants a better football team?
They are better than the Jets, and their schedule is just so much easier. I mean, you look at the Jets' schedule. The Jets are 1-2. They go at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to have extra rest this week. They still have to play at the Vikings, at the Packers, the Bills twice, the Dolphins twice. The Patriots are beat up, but still that's the Patriots. They go at Denver, where I just mentioned the Giants schedule. The Giants is smooth sailing. Lions, Texans, Washington twice, the Bears at home, the Cowboys without Dak. It's really, the Giants have a path here to get to 9 or 10 wins, as crazy as that is. I don't know that the Jets are going to get more than 4 or 5. So I think the Giants have a chance to double the Jets win total, believe it or not.
Now, the 2 teams are kind of in a similar situation with their quarterbacks. We haven't seen Zach Wilson for the Jets, but he didn't exactly have a good rookie season. Daniel Jones now kind of at the end of his rope, even though they're 2-0. Daniel Jones hasn't exactly led them to these wins. Are either one of these guys the guy for their team? Zach Wilson obviously has a little bit more time to prove things, but this might be Daniel Jones' last season as a Giants starter. Do you think either of these guys can be the guy for their team?
No, I don't. I mean, 2 years from now, is either one of these guys the starting quarterback? I don't think so. No, Wilson, we haven't seen a lot. It was a bad situation last year. We can make excuses for him. Maybe he'll make the year 2 leap. I think that's the question for the Jets. Keep Wilson on the field and just find out what you have, because he spent the 2nd pick in the draft here. If you're going to be bad this year, let's at least see if you have a quarterback, because there's a scenario, like I said, with a tough schedule, not impossible. They win 3, 4, 5 games and they're picking in the top 5 next year. It's a good quarterback class. Yeah. Do you want to go forward with Wilson? Do you want to go forward with this coach? Both of those guys, the coach and the quarterback, have a lot to prove here these last 13 games or so, 14 games. So I don't think either one of these is long-term solution.
Okay, let's talk about the game tonight. NFC East showdown. Some line movement in this game. It opened up. Giants were 3-point favorites, down to 1-point favorites for the majority of the week, back up to 1.5. And I think even some books might have it back up at 2. So do you have a bet for this game? I'm personally on the Cowboys here. I think they cover mostly because of their defense. What are your thoughts? What's your best bet for the game?
Lean towards the under, but I do like the Giants. I just think better coach. They're at home. Like I mentioned, there's going to be some juice in the building. I don't think either team trusts his quarterback. I could certainly see an under here where it's a low scoring game, field position type game. But I'll go with the Giants here. And if you like me, if you like the Giants tonight, I think you can still get Dable 12-1 to win Coach of the Year for all the reasons I just mentioned. If they win tonight, they're 3-0. Home versus the Bears next week, they'll be favored. They could be 4-0. Schedule gets a little tougher, but then they have that easy path. Seahawks, Lions, Jags, Texans, Washington twice. If they get to 9 or 10 wins and make the playoffs, Dable's going to be very hard to beat for Coach of the Year. I know Sirianni's the short shot right now at 3-1, but they made the playoffs last year. Jacksonville with Peterson, he's a candidate. But Dable at 12-1, if he can get this team in the playoffs, which I think he's a legitimate chance. To me, they're a coin flip to make the playoffs. Probably a little better than a coin flip, especially if they win tonight. Dable at 12-1 is a hell of a bet to win Coach of the Year.
I would say I do like that bet at 12-1. I would say probably his best competition right now, or his toughest competition, might be Mike McDaniel there in Miami too.
Yeah, I thought about him too, but I think they'll tail off a little. Plus, they've had winning seasons the last 2 years, so usually it's a team that vastly improves. And I know they didn't make the playoffs, but they were still pretty good. I think they won 9-8 last year, 10-6 the year before, because it wasn't the 17th game yet. The Giants, I mean, this has been an abysmal team the last 5 years. If you can take over year one, go to the playoffs, that's going to be a hell of a story. It's a big market in New York. Plus, it tends to go to first-year head coaches, which would apply to McDaniel, obviously, too. But we've seen Nagy, we've seen Stefanski, we've seen McVay. 3 first-year head coaches win it in the last 5 years. I think Dable's a great bet.
Yeah, I like it, especially at that price. What about a player prop? Any player props you have targeted for tonight?
I would look at Barkley over 23.5 receiving yards. Ooh. And again, with these props, it helps to have multiple books, shop around, get the best number. I've seen some 26.5. I've seen some 23.5. I just don't trust the Giants offensive line. Parsons, the Cowboys pass rush will put an emphasis on Jones to get rid of the ball, get rid of it quickly. What does that lead to? That leads to little dump offs to Barkley. Hell, he could get the 24 yards in one chunk. So Barkley over 23.5 receiving yards would be my bet.
I like that quite a bit. Will, thank you so much for coming on. Tell the people the best place to find your work and the best place to keep an eye on for your work in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I'm on VSiN throughout the week, Lombardi Line, a numbers game, and then Sunday mornings on Twitch, presented by Pickett Sports. I will be hosting First and Gold, previewing all the NFL games. That is twitch.tv/goldboys. So check that out Sunday mornings, 11 Eastern. Iain MacMillan, you're the best, man. This was fun. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yes, absolutely. And make sure to follow him on Twitter at #NotThe with 2 E's, Will Hill. Thank you so much once again. Good luck with your bets tonight, and good luck in the NFL season moving forward. And I hope I get to see your Yankees in the playoffs. I want a Jays Yankees ALCS.
Have fun moving, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, Jays, Yankees, ALCS, we will do this again. Absolutely.
Yes, 100%. All right, thanks, Will. Next up, Peter Dewey will be joining me for the second half of the show. We'll be giving out our best bets for Monday Night Football tonight. We'll talk a little Jays, Yankees, and also community picks for tonight, as always. And there he is, Peter Dewey. Yankees banner still in the background. Yankees sign. Yankees are back.
Signed today.
Are the Yankees back?
They might be back, my guy. They might be back. 7 straight wins, 8-2 in their last 10. Big series coming up. This is a nice little litmus test against obviously a playoff team in the Jays. I'm excited to see how they stack up, but getting hot at the right time. That's the thing I was worried about with this, this whole second half. But the right time, they're starting to get hot, which got me feeling good for these playoffs.
Are the Broncos back?
Listen, man, I'll say this about the Broncos. I was going through it last night watching that game. The defense might have the best defense in the NFL right now. Like, I don't even think that's an exaggeration. What they've done these first 3 weeks, it's been unbelievable. They came into this week top 5 in yards per play allowed. But it's given me 2015-16 Peyton vibes, like where the defense just carries them. The unfortunate part is they signed Russell Wilson to a 7-year contract. So, not a great feeling to be in, but they're 2-1. Could be the Chargers right now, or the Raiders. So I'm happy with where they're at.
That is true. Second place in the AFC West, all things considered. I before we get into community picks and best bets for tonight, hand up, I have to admit to something, and this is not something I'm proud of, but it happened last night. I turned the game off.
That's fair.
I couldn't. Halftime, I tapped out. I was like, this is one of the worst games I've ever watched. Listen, if you love defense, it was a great game, I guess. no offense, I don't care about the Broncos. I don't really care about the 49ers. It was 7-3. It was boring football. It was ugly football. I rarely do this, but I had to just tap out. Couldn't care.
If it wasn't a Broncos game, there's no way I watched that whole game. But I just was like, I had to. Like, I couldn't turn it off because I knew the second I turned it off, something good was going to happen.
Yes.
I've done that like with other teams where I'll turn it off because I'm just like, I can't deal with this. And then something good happens, I'll turn it back on. But mostly the Yankees this year. But yeah, dude, that was a brutal game. There was like I know the Broncos punted 10 times. So it was like 17 punts or something. I mean, that's just horrible.
And I think I saw the stat that they're the first team to win with punting 10 plus times since someone, I think in 2006, I think was the last time someone won, even though they punted 10 times. So yeah, not great. And I got what I deserved. My bet ended up losing. I shut it off. 49ers are up 7-3. I was on 49ers money line. They lost. So I got what I deserved. But let's enough chit chat. Let's get to some picks for tonight. We'll start with community picks. As always, I don't know if I said it at the top of the show or not, but go ahead and vote in the poll for your best bet for the game tonight. Should still be live on Twitter, I think. Should be live on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you have to be watching on YouTube. It's the only place to watch it. Like and subscribe, please. But without further ado, let's get into community picks for tonight. We have 5 different picks for Monday Night Football. The first one, beating the books at _book_beater. Daniel Jones under his passing total. He hasn't thrown over 200 yards all season, and this is by far the toughest defense he's played. I don't know about that last fact, and I did tweet about this during the game on Sunday. By the way, Daniel Jones under his passing totals 202.5 yards. I think the Panthers might sneakily be a top 3, top 5 defense in the NFL. So are the Cowboys better? Maybe. But he has, at least in week 2, played against a very good defense. Thoughts on Daniel Jones' passing total?
Yeah, I kind of, to go to your Panthers point too, I kind of agree with that. They looked great this week against the Saints defensively. The offense stinks, but yes. A lot of teams like that this year. I feel like the Packers and the Bucs are kind of like that too. Really good defenses, and the offenses just aren't going. But Jones, yeah, I mean, I feel like if the Giants are going to win this game, they're not going to win it with Daniel Jones. This is going to be more of a ball control game. So I don't mind the under on the passing yards just because unless this gets out of hand with the Cowboys winning by a lot, which I don't see. I just don't see Brian Daboll like willingly letting Daniel Jones throw the ball 25, 30 times. Like, I don't think that's what they want to do. I think they know that's not a recipe for them to win.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's bring up the next pick for tonight. Sam Mendelson. I know this guy. At Mendy_Island. Pollard. I struggle with this name all the time. Pollard. Anytime touchdown plus 240. Am I pronouncing that right? Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
It's Pollard.
Yeah.
I got an argument on the Vegas Insider show this morning. I was saying Pollard, and they were telling me it was Pollard.
I thought it was Pollard. Every time I've heard his name on TV, it's been Pollard. So
regardless, I like this bet. Prop bet that I'm on for today. I'm not giving it on the show today. I'm going with a different prop bet, but I like his over on his receiving yards. Average like 33.5 receiving yards per game last season, and his receiving yards total is at like 18 or 17.5 today. So if I like him to go over his receiving yards, I think plus 240 is a good bet for him to score a touchdown. I think he's one of the more underrated, maybe not underutilized because they do use him, but one of the more electric players in the NFL that no one ever really talks about.
Yeah, I have a Tony Pollard prop I'll give out later in the show too, but I think I like him a lot. I just think I know they're paying Ezekiel Elliott a lot of money, but it just seems like when you watch Cowboys games, like Tony Pollard comes to the game and it's just a completely different pace. Like, he just has more juice, and Zeke just kind of looks like he's plodding out there. One of these days, I think they're going to finally at least make it an even split. You would think that would be something, because I mean, he is a very good player. You're 100% right with that.
It almost feels like they just give Ezekiel Elliott the majority of the carries just because they have to justify paying him so much money.
Yeah. I mean, he gets the majority of the paying time because they're paying him, I think, what was it, 5 years, $90 million was his contract or something like that?
Yeah, crazy. Something crazy.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm just going to call this player Tony Pollard. I'm just going to say the L's are silent, and he's a French guy. Tony Pollard. That's how I'm going to pronounce that name moving forward. All right, let's. I think we have a couple more touchdown bets for tonight. Here we go. Tyler Woodward at Jayhawk. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. First touchdown, Sterling Shepard for the Giants. Let me see if I can whip up some odds for this right now. For him to score the first touchdown tonight, 11-1 at FanDuel, 6th best odds on the board. Peter, do you ever play first touchdown bets? Because there's no way to handicap first touchdown bets. They're always just kind of, I toss $5 on it for shits and giggles sometimes.
I played one last night in the Broncos game because DraftKings was doing like a plus 200 boost for any first-time touchdown score. And I had Deebo Samuel, and he got tackled at the 3-yard line before that Ayuk touchdown. So that was tough. But I very rarely play them because you're right. It's just so hard to handicap. Like, a lot of the time, I just feel like I'm throwing money away at that point.
Yeah, last night I was deciding between Ayuk and Jimmy Garoppolo, and I got greedy and took Garoppolo like 40-1, and then of course Ayuk ends up getting the first touchdown. Stupid, but there you go. I mean, I don't really have any handicapping things to say about this. First touchdown is first touchdown. I mean, Cowboys could get the ball first, score on their opening drive, and then you lose without even getting it a chance. So I like it. My recommendation, like I said earlier, don't bet your normal unit size on first touchdown bets. Bet half a unit, a third of a unit, quarter of a unit. Because they are fun. Because when you do hit one, the occasional time you do, it's electric. There you go. Good luck to Jayhawk. First touchdown tonight, Sterling Shepard. I think we have one more anytime touchdown, but I think it's a long shot. Jack, a.k.a. Quagmire Run Good at Gamble Quagmire. Trying to see who that is in his profile picture. Is that Matty Fitzpatrick, maybe? I don't know. I can't really tell. It's too small. Chris Myrick. Anytime touchdown, 28-1. If you don't know who that is the fullback for the New York Giants. I think people are just getting a little antsy to jump at fullbacks just because the guy for the Bills scored it in the first touchdown there. When was that? Last Monday?
Week, yeah. Reggie Gilliam last week.
There you go. Any thoughts on Chris Myarak?
If I'm being honest, I just looked up what team he played for. I wasn't sure if he played for the Cowboys or the Giants, so not something I'll be betting, but I mean, if it hits, it's going to be fun.
How would you pronounce his last name?
I was going to say Myarak. So
Myarak. Yeah. Hey, so if people out there wanted the long shot 28-1 bet to sprinkle on tonight, let's see, has he touched the football yet this season?
I'm guessing no.
So far in the first two games, he has one catch. And it was a touchdown, so that maybe that is good. Bet. He did score a touchdown in the Titans game in Week 1. There you have it. He has one catch. Last year, he had a total of 3 catches, and the year before that, he played for the Dolphins and got 0 catches. So, can he get his 5th ever NFL reception tonight and his 2nd ever touchdown? 28-1. Chris Myrick. And we have one final pick, community pick for tonight. Giants money line from Louis Martinez at Louis M1324. Not even going to lay the points. Doesn't want to mess around with the spread, apparently. Just going to take the Giants, who are minus 118 at FanDuel as of me talking right now. We'll get into our picks on a side a little bit later. Actually, Peter, I don't even think you have a pick on the side later. I think you just have a couple props. So why don't you give your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't have one. This is one of those weird games. I like division games, especially primetime division games with a short spread like this. Sometimes like this one tonight, like I'm just going to stay away. I don't really trust either one of these teams. I don't trust Cooper Rush. I know he played well last week, but now you're on the road. It's just, to me, it's kind of a risky spot to back him. And I have not trusted Daniel Jones, and I couldn't tell you how long. He could single-handedly lose them this game if he has one of his turnover-laden games. So I'm staying away from this one. I think there's props that are just like you can take better advantage of just based on like it's a short line. Basically, whether you're betting the spread or you're going to bet the money line, you're just basically picking who you think's going to win. I have no idea who's going to win this game. So I think both these teams, if Dak Prescott was playing, it's a completely different scenario. But this is just two very seems like mediocre teams, even though the Giants are 2-0.
Yeah, I agree. But I already have a bet on the game. But we'll get into that right now. So why don't we start with the NFL? Let's start with the NFL, and then we'll finish off with Jay's Yankees talk, and then we'll wrap up the show that way. So why don't you start with your first prop bet? Like I mentioned earlier, we have 2 prop bets for the game. I have my spread bet and then one prop bet. So why don't you start with your first prop bet?
Yeah, I said I'm not going to trust Daniel Jones. I'm definitely not going to trust him. So I'm taking him to throw an interception tonight, minus 125. You look at Daniel Jones at home versus on the road. His passer rating is 15 points lower. He's thrown 19 interceptions in 20 career home games. He's a much worse quarterback at home, which is very rare with especially young guys. You almost never see that. I think like him and Rush, I think betting either one of them to throw an interception would be fine. But I like Daniel Jones more because we know the Cowboys, very opportunistic defense. They have a very good defense. Trayvon Diggs is going to try and jump some routes. Also, Dallas leads the league in sacks per game right now. I know we've only played 2 weeks, but they have a very solid pass rush. Micah Parsons can put some pressure on him. So when Jones is dropping back, this isn't going to be, clean pocket. I can just step up and make my reads, make my throws. So I wouldn't be shocked if he throws a pick in this game. I looked up his career. He's thrown an interception in over half of his games. I believe it was 22 of his 40 career games he's thrown an interception in. 21 of his career 40 games, and he's coming off a game he didn't throw one. So to me, I'm like, I don't know if I trust him to do this 2 weeks in a row, stay turnover free. I'll take him to throw a pick.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that trend until you just brought it up. But I think I wrote an article about it at BetSided last NFL season about how different his splits are away from home and at home. Significantly worse at home, which is not something you usually see. Pretty wild. So, I like that bet quite a bit, especially with the Cowboys defense. Speaking of the Cowboys defense, I am going to back the Cowboys tonight. Full disclosure, I did get them at +3 at the opening line. So I got them at a pretty good line. It's down to +1. I still like them at +1. I think they should be 1.5 point favorites, in my opinion, in this game. Mostly because of that defense. They have a significant defensive advantage over the Giants here. 6th in opponent yards per play heading into tonight. Giants 17th in opponent yards per play, allowing 5.6 yards per play. And it's not exactly like they played two good offenses in the first 2 weeks. They played the Titans and the Panthers. So I think they're even worse than where they rank right now. And Giants offensive line giving up a ton of sacks. You mentioned the Cowboys have been getting a ton of sacks. Giants offensive line giving up 4 sacks per game. And this is where my hot take comes in. Is Cooper Rush as bad as we're all saying he is?
I don't think he's necessarily bad. He's just a backup quarterback. My expectations for him are just so much lower than any starting quarterback would be, I guess.
Yes, but in his career, 60.6% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 7.7 yards per pass attempt. He's up. Cowboys also 2-0 in games that Cooper Rush has started. So is he a great quarterback? No. He might be all right, though. Luke Schill just chimed in the chat. He says, yes, he is. And he said he's junk, boys. So I might be wrong. It is very likely that at the end of the game tonight, I'll be my foot will be in my mouth. But I'm looking at the stats. They're not terrible. 7.7 yards per pass attempt is pretty good. They're 2-0 when he starts. Once again, not saying he's great, but maybe he's not as bad as we're all saying he is. Not as bad as Luke Schill thinks he is. Or maybe he is. We'll see. But regardless, I'm on the Cowboys tonight.
It's just tough with any backup quarterback. I also think the inconsistency part is something you kind of have to factor in here. Is he played pretty well last week, all things considered. I'd be very nervous, anytime there's a backup quarterback, not just Cooper Rush. Just can this guy keep it going for multiple weeks? Because when you have a backup in the game, unless it's a shocking circumstance, there's a reason they're a backup quarterback. So that's why I stayed away from the side here, but I don't disagree with you. I think the Cowboys defense is so much better where they might be able to win this game just by themselves.
Remember Nick Mullen of the 49ers?
Yes.
Remember his first game, he threw 5 touchdowns or something, and people were like, yeah, this guy's awesome, and then he just started to suck.
Yeah, it's like one of those scenarios. They brought him and CJ Beathard in that year when Jimmy G was out, and they both played decently. People are like, oh, these guys. And then it's when they kept playing, it was oh no, the wheels were starting to fall off of games. This is why this guy doesn't start every week.
Do you know where Nick Mullins is right now?
I think he's with the Eagles. Might be wrong though.
He was last year. This year he's the backup in Minnesota. So if Kirk Cousins goes down this year, Nick Mullins will step in. Maybe we'll get another Nick Mullins action. Luke Schill, give me the skinny, boys. I really want to bet Giants push me over the edge. Well, I just told you I'm on the Cowboys, so I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm on the Cowboys. Fade me if you want. Go ahead and take the Giants. But, listen, dude, it's 2 teams that are going to have shitty offenses. The Cowboys have had the better defense through the first 2 weeks. At least the Giants have their starting quarterback. I don't know. They're at home. It's a whiteout game, apparently.
But Daniel Jones is worse at home. That's the thing I kept coming back to when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to bet a side in this game. Is like I like Dallas's defense better. I was like, on the road, backup quarterback, and then I was like, well, Daniel Jones stinks at home. That's why I'm staying away. I don't trust either one of these teams. This game could be a tie, and I would not be surprised. Like it's just the way that these kind of two teams set up in this one.
So there you have it. Peter recommends you bet the tie tonight between the Cowboys and the Giants. All right, let's get to your next prop bet. I believe you said is a Tony Pollard prop bet.
Tony Pollard, yes, sir. So I'm taking Tony Pollard over 2.5 receptions here. Not a crazy handicap with this one, obviously, because it's a different quarterback under center. But last week, with Cooper Rush playing quarterback, 7 targets for Tony Pollard. He had 4 catches in that game. I think one of the ways you kind of help a backup quarterback get going, you give him easy passes to make. So like we talked about, Tony Pollard's over 30-something receiving yards per game last season. Like easy way to get him involved and an easy way to get Cooper Rush, some confidence completions. Just dump it off to Tony Pollard, run some screens, run some just quick outs in the flat, maybe check it down a few times. And also the thing I find interesting in this one, no Michael Gallup tonight. There was a chance he was going to return from the ACL tonight. He's not supposed to play, which means it's CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, and Dalton Schultz, and then a whole lot of guys with like no experience. I know Noah Brown had a good week last week, but I think Tony Pollard is at worst the 4th option in the passing game, might be even better than that. And with the fact that he saw 7 targets, like that's a huge, huge volume to get him at only 2.5, to only go over 2.5, I think is a pretty solid bet. So I'll take him here. It's minus 130, not terrible juice that you got to lay on it either.
Yeah, I like that bet. Like I said, I'm on his over receiving yards. So I'm on the yards, you're on the receptions. We can both hit. If one of us hits, the other one should as well. So I like that. But another, I'm going to go with a different prop bet other than the Tony Pollard. I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb over 5.5 receptions, still at plus money. CeeDee Lamb, I'll start off by saying he already has 22 targets this season, 11 in each of the first 2 games. That is a ton of targets. Yeah, he might not have a ton of catches, or at least in week 1 he didn't. Last week he had 7 receptions with Cooper Rush at quarterback, 7 receptions, 75 yards. He is still clearly the number 1 option for the Cowboys. So 11 targets each of the first 2 weeks. He's going to at least get targeted again tonight. So to get over 5.5 receptions at plus 102, I like that quite a bit. Also, I need him to get some points for me in fantasy. In one of my fantasy leagues, I need like 20 points from CeeDee Lamb to win tonight. So I'm all in on CeeDee Lamb over 5.5 receptions at plus 102.
PPR or half PPR?
Half PPR.
Oh, that's gonna be tough. You're gonna need a touchdown. Need a touchdown.
Oh, 100%. I'll probably need like 5 catches. Well, for this bet, 6 catches, 100 yards, a touchdown might do it. Luke Shield likes the receptions. All right. Let's get to another couple of quick YouTube chat here. Chris Hale. Cowboys 4+ sacks at plus 220. Daniel Jones sacked 3 times week 1 and 5. Yes. We did talk with this a little bit earlier. You have to kind of search for the books because some books don't have these defensive prop bets, or at least that I can find, or maybe it's just in the state of New York. I'm struggling finding them. But if you can find them, I do like any and all sack props for tonight. Cowboys, you mentioned it earlier, tied for the NFL lead through the first 2 games in 4 sacks per game. Giants are giving up 4 sacks per game. Daniel Jones is just a very sackable quarterback, it seems like. He just holds on to the ball too long. So plus 220 for Cowboys to get 4 sacks. Or if you want to go like Micah Parsons to get over half a sack too. I think that's a plus money in some places. So I like all those types of bets.
7.5 sacks. Did not know that was a thing. Yeah,
it makes sense.
7.5 sacks at plus money. So if you think he gets a sack tonight, I think that's worth it. When you watch him play too, he sometimes just gets back there before anybody. So he has a lot of solo sacks where it's just like, yep, Mike Parsons best player on the field right now. So that was a prop I debated betting as well. So that's another one if you're looking for the defense.
Beautiful. Another pick here from Beers and Bowtie says, I'm on now. He's coming in with a little baseball bet. I'm on Nationals team total over 3.5 minus 120. As a Braves fan, I'm surprised in Snicker. So close to division champs, but instead of chasing the Mets, he is starting pitchers I've never heard of. To be honest.
They're starting their number 3 prospect tonight, Bryce Elder.
I have him in my Dynasty Baseball League. Yeah,
he's had a few
not been
starts.
good when he's been called up, though.
Yeah, he's had a few starts this year. He hasn't pitched great, but obviously they have confidence in him because he's such a high prospect, and those have worked out for them so well lately.
Yes.
But yeah, they lost. Was it to the Nationals they lost the other day, or they lost to the Marlins? They lost to somebody the other day that they should not have lost to, that cost them a game. Might have been on Sunday. So I don't hate it. I mean, the Nationals offense, I couldn't tell you more than like 5 guys in their lineup right now because they're just they're like a minor league team at this point.
Yeah, so there you go. Nationals team total over 3.5 because they're facing Bryce Elder, a member of both the Atlanta Braves and a member of the Dartmouth Ducks, my Dynasty baseball team. So there you go. Shout out Bryce Elder. And he also says, I wouldn't be surprised if Nats walk away with a win. That's a bold. This sounds to me like an emo hedge coming from a Braves fan. The old emotional hedge, it sounds like. And Luke Schill said that he does love the CD reception. So there you go. Let's both cash on that one. I think all we have is baseball left to talk about. Yes, we have given out our NFL picks. Let's talk Yankees and Blue Jays. Peter, why don't you go ahead?
I just want to say, first off, I'm real disappointed you didn't plan a Toronto trip for us for this series, but that's okay.
Well, I'm in the middle of moving, so maybe ALCS will go together.
All right, fair enough. But I'm going to bet the Yankees tonight. This is purely, I have some reasons to back it up, but this is purely like I want the Yankees to win. Also getting the Yankees at plus money tonight. They're even money tonight. Not bad for a team that's on a 7-game win streak. It's a good pitching matchup, Luis Severino and Kevin Gausman. When I wrote the game preview up over at BetSide, you can check it out. One of the other bets I like is the first 5 innings under 3.5. That's also a plus money. I believe it was plus 102 at FanDuel. So like both these pitchers, Gausman's pitched pretty well against the Yankees this year. And Severino's fresh, looked good in his first outing back off the IL. But the thing I noticed with these two teams, the Yankees offense first in OPS over the last 15 days. Jays are actually second. So both these teams hitting the ball pretty well. But if it gets to the bullpens, this is where I think that the difference in the game is, because I like both these starters. If it gets to the bullpens, Yankees are 5th in bullpen ERA. Jays are 14th. And the Yankees have scored a lot late in games recently, especially that series against the Red Sox. They beat up on the Pirates bullpen. So I like the Yankees post 5th inning. I think that's where they kind of can have a chance to blow this open if they can chase Gausman out of the game. So I'll bet the Yankees. It's very rare these days that you're getting them at plus money no matter who they're playing. So why not?
And there's a reason they're plus money, because they're a bunch of bums, and they're going to face my Toronto Blue Jays. So, of course, give me my Blue Jays. I got them at minus 116 tonight. Do you know who has the best offense in baseball in the month of September?
I'm sure it's your Jays.
The Toronto Blue Jays lead Major League Baseball in OPS in the month of September. And when you look at the pitching matchup, both pitchers, this works in favor of the Blue Jays in terms of their history against their opponent. Kevin Gausman, 12.2 innings pitched against the Yankees this season, has only given up 2 earned runs. That's pretty good. Luis Severino, not as good against the Jays, allowing 8 earned runs in just 14.2 innings pitched. That's an ERA of 4.91 against Toronto this season. So I will be back in my Toronto Blue Jays as they try to lock up a wild card spot.
If Yankees win tonight, they clinch the AL East. So
yeah, that's what I don't want that to happen.
It's going to happen this series, I think.
I need the Jays to, like, it's not even, I don't even want, like, the AL East are not going to win, but I can't have the Yankees clinch the division against the Blue Jays. That's just going to hurt my soul. So I need the Jays to sweep for me here. So there you have it. We got a recap graphic with our picks for tonight. I'm on Cowboys. I got them +3. I still like them +1 or money line, whatever you want to do, because I actually set the line at Cowboys as a 1.5 favorites. Over 5.5 receptions for CD Lamb. Blue Jays -116 against the Yankees. Peter, you're on Daniel Jones to throw at least 1 interception. Tony Pollard over 2.5 receptions, in the Yankees even money on the money line against the Blue Jays, unfortunately. And the poll is in, and the BetSided community agrees with me. They are on the Cowboys +1.5, because that is the latest line.
Guess we're all riding the Cowboys tonight then. All right. Sign me up.
Yeah, Yeah, if Luke's still watching, maybe you want to go with the Giants after all this. Community has not been hot with their picks recently. I believe they were on the Steelers on Thursday night. I was thankfully on the Browns. Browns won and covered. Community, I think the Community went 0-4 last week, if I remember. So, hey, maybe it's a big bounce back spot for them. But there we go. We're all on the Cowboys. Best of luck to us.
Everybody's on the Cowboys. Something's got to give.
Luke is staying on the Giants. So if the Giants
Don't
win,
blame
at least
him.
Luke will be a winner. There you go. Good luck, Luke. At least the two of us can cash on a little CD Lamb receptions. All right. And he says he's subscribing and checking back in tomorrow. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate
Love to hear
it. Tomorrow, it'll be myself and Reed Wallach, I think. And it's going to be, hopefully, if all things go well, my first show in my new office. So keep an eye out for that. I finally get a little bit of a background behind me instead of just boxes and random things. So excited for that. I don't have anything else to say. Good luck to everyone with their bets tonight. Peter, do you have any closing remarks?
Yankees clinch the AL East tonight, Ian. Let's do it.
No, they do not, because the Blue Jays are going to win. Also, early read tomorrow. That is going live at 2:30 p.m. With Parker at Stats of War with Reed Wallach talking college football. So tune in for that as well. Gamble or bless, my friends. Take care tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.